Just a quick update, the Patreon page is now live. The link will be down below if you want to check it out. You'll have access to all of my betting packages and much more. Thanks again for all the support, but for now, let's get into the video. Yo, what's going on, guys? We're back for another show, and this one is a pretty good card. It's pay-per-view card, so it's Miranda Maverick taking on Gillian Robertson, kicking off the cards. We're just going to get into it right here, but make sure to drop a like, put a comment down below. I want to try to get to at least 250 likes on this video. That would be amazing. So that's going to be the goal for this one, 250 likes. So let's try to get those likes up for this video, guys, and see if we can reach that goal. But with this first fight of the night, like I was saying, Gillian Robertson, Miranda Maverick. We have Miranda Maverick here. She is the favorite. She's 23 years old, and she's getting a pretty big step up in competition. It's going to be her second UFC fight. Gillian Robertson is definitely going to be the toughest opponent she's faced to date, in my opinion. But she has won 5 of her last 6 fights. She's defeated 5 UFC veterans in that process. So Maverick is on a roll. She's improving pretty rapidly. And she's a southpaw. She's a decent athlete. She has good movement. She's pretty light on her feet. She can move in and out pretty well. She throws a lot of kicks from the outside, but she has a good straight left. She'll pull fighters into that straight left shot. She has a decent check right hook. And she throws some okay low kicks. She likes to throw a lot of lead leg side kicks and good round kicks, front kicks to the body. She'll throw some wild kicks at times, though, and can get countered. She'll throw naked kicks. Sometimes she'll throw high kicks that just aren't very technical. But, you know, overall, I will say she's she is improving as a striker, because in boxing range, she was getting lit up a little bit by Liana Jojua early. And Jojua was making her pay for those unset up kicks, and she was countering Maverick's jab. But it seemed like Maverick woke up and started to read what she was doing, counter with some nice elbows. She ended up breaking Jojua's nose, which ultimately ended to the end of the fight. So good fight by Maverick there. I don't think she has a ton of power, but she is the superior striker in comparison to Gillian Robertson. And she's a good grappler as well. She's a good wrestler. You could see by her physique that she's a very strong girl. In the clinch, she can drive fighters to the fence. She has good chain wrestling from there, and she likes to use the single leg. She has great timing on her level changes, and she was setting up her takedowns really well against Pearl Gonzalez in one of her recent fights, and she mauled Pearl on the ground. She took her back. She controlled her for a large period of the fight, and you could see spots where Pearl Gonzalez had success. She got a sweep, got on top, and quickly took the mount, took the back of Miranda Maverick, and Miranda Maverick can be taken down. Pearl Gonzalez was able to hit a couple takedowns, make the second round competitive. Miranda Maverick, she just was more dominant when she got into top position against Pearl Gonzalez. But we have seen Deanna Bennett put Miranda Maverick on the cage, hit body locks, hit doubles. When Bennett got on top of Maverick in the first bout, Bennett was able to stay on top and grind out the win. So that was in 2018. She was losing a grappling match to a girl like Deanna Bennett, who's a UFC washout. But they did have a rematch where, you know, Maverick was able to come back in the third round, get a rear naked choke. But even in that fight, I believe, in my opinion, she was losing 2018 via getting out grappled. But to her credit, she got the back in the third, got the job done, got the finish. I don't really see her being able to get a submission win in this fight. If she gets a finish, it's probably going to be on the feet. But she's going to be taking on a girl in Gillian Robertson, who we all kind of know how Gillian fights at this point. She likes to kind of move around on the feet. She has improved her striking, her timing, her distance control, just her setups to the takedowns. She's a lot more composed on the feet, and she lands some shots. I mean, she'll throw the jab out there, some kicks, but she obviously isn't trying to keep it on the feet. She wants to try to hit that single leg, which she's really good at with the single, or she'll even pull guard. She wants to get the fight to the ground at, you know, any means necessary. And when she gets it there, she's a, you know, very aggressive jiu-jitsu black belt. She's always looking to get into dominant positions like the back at the rear naked choke. Really good mount, big ground and pound. She'll attack arm bars from the mount, from the back mount. And all of her wins have came basically via grappling. She has a lot of submission wins. She has I believe, only one decision victory in the UFC. Most of her wins are finishes, where she goes in there, finishes the fights on the ground. And that's something that Miranda Maverick has struggled with throughout her career, which is grappling. So to me, that's why I feel like this fight is lined closely and deservedly slow. I see a lot of people are, you know, on the hype train of Miranda Maverick. They really like the girl. They think that, she's a potential girl that could go in there and do really well. But Gillian Robertson, she's fought way better competition. She's has her back against the wall here. She's never lost 2 fights in a row. This is her last fight on her UFC contract, so she needs a win here, and I feel like she has the path to victory. If she can get the takedowns, I could see her taking the back, getting a rear naked choke, or I could see her just controlling and winning the round. I do think if she gets a takedown, I don't think Miranda Maverick is going to be able to stand up from under Gillian Robertson. And I don't necessarily see Miranda Maverick as some ace striker. I think both these girls are kind of more grapplers. Miranda Maverick is taking to striking a little bit better. And if she can land some of those big elbows or some concussive shots, maybe she could get Gillian out of there. But I'm actually going to go with Gillian Robertson. I don't think that Maverick necessarily has the power to really hurt Robertson badly. And if Gillian gets takedowns, I think she can be more dominant on top than Maverick is in the striking. I don't think necessarily that Maverick is going to be able to out-grapple Gillian Robertson, but if she does take her down, that could potentially pose issues for Robertson. We just saw her kind of get taken down control in her last fight, but I'm going to give Robertson the grappling advantage and say that she's able to go in there and win this fight with her wrestling and submission game. And up next here we have 2 guys young in their UFC careers. We got Phil Rowe making his debut, Gabe Green. This is going to be a second fight. And Gabe Green, he had a tough entrance into the UFC, but he had a good showing. He was able to go in there against Daniel Rodriguez. It was in a weight class that he doesn't usually fight in. Previous to the UFC, he's fought a lot at 155, but I guess he's decided to stay up at 170 pounds here. He lost a decision to Daniel Rodriguez, and he's only 1-2 in his career at welterweight, so we're going to see if that is a smart move. At only 27, he is young. It didn't look like he looked too undersized against Daniel Rodriguez, so maybe he's kind of grown into the weight class. And he's definitely the more experienced fighter out of him versus Phil Rowe. He has way more fights. He's fought a lot higher level competition. On the feet, Green isn't bad. He throws a lot of volume out there, some straight punches, decent kicks. He throws a lot of jabs. He'll mix kicks. He has, nice front kicks, round kicks. He'll throw like a 1-2 to a high kick. He'll try to hide his high kicks behind jabs. He'll switch stances. At 155, he usually seemed like the bigger guy, and he was able to have a style of, take one to give one, where he took a lot of punishment. He holds his hands low. He has decent head movement, but he definitely is hittable. For his style, he isn't really the greatest athlete. In both of his losses, he was knocked out. So I think against guys that do pack power, that can touch him and keep him at the end of their strikes, they could definitely take out Gabe Green. Gabe Green doesn't necessarily have one-punch power himself either. He's more of an accumulation guy. Throws a lot of volume out there. Like I said, he has 3 knockouts. And he's a tricky submission grappler, kind of 10th planet type of stuff. He's good at taking the back. He isn't really the best wrestler, but he's very, very flexible. He can create a lot of scrambles. He's, has a dangerous guard. And when he gets on top, he's very good at taking the back. Like I said, he has a lot of rear naked choke victories. He's able to use a lot of, leg entanglements, 50-50 positions to create scrambles. So he's a tricky grappler, but I don't necessarily think that he's the best grappler because he doesn't really have good wrestling, so he can't take the fight to the ground when he wants to. And I do feel against more experienced, better jiu-jitsu guys or just top pressure wrestlers, they can kind of shut down that game that he has and beat him up on top. So he is an overall decent grappler, but not great. I do think he has very good cardio. For Phil Rowe, he kind of had his momentum halted a little bit. He hasn't fought since he beat Leon Shabazian in 2019. He had some hype coming off the show, but just injuries have slowed him down. He's been scheduled to face multiple opponents, but the fights have just not materialized. And hopefully he can get in there Saturday, remind people why they were excited about him, because he started his career 0-2, but he's won his last 7 fights in a row. If you look at his record, though, it is a little bit of a cause for concern. Other than Leon Shabazian, the guy's really fought absolutely nobody. His best win outside of Shabazian is a 4-5 opponent. He really has a very padded record, but Phil Rowe is a good boxer. He has heavy 1-2s. He has a crazy 80-inch reach for welterweight, so he can land from very far out, and he'll use his long-range strikes very well. He walks guys down, he cuts the cage off, and puts guys against the cage, and puts big combinations together, body head. He really loaded up with some power hooks against Leon Shabazian. Pretty good fakes, feints, decent defense, good head movement. He's cocky in there. He likes to taunt, play around, slip your shot, return, tell you about it. And he'll throw some decent kicks, front kicks, round kicks, but he holds his hands low, and that is to bait fighters into counter-strike, but sometimes he can float his chin while he does that, get hit with flush jabs, crosses, and that has gotten him dropped and finished before in the past. Leon Shabazian was able to hurt Rowe very badly in their fight with the uppercut that really didn't look that heavy, so I'm not sure that Rowe really likes to get hit too much. But when Rowe can go forward, he's long, rangy, he's skillful, he's fast, he can be a force. When fighters pressure Rowe, his volume lowers a little bit. Leon Shabazian was able to back Rowe to the cage, land some nice combinations. He doesn't really like to get hit, like I said, and in one of his 2 losses, he was finished by strikes pretty brutally. He got dropped, rocked multiple times against Shabazian. He does have some power. He has 3 knockouts. He's a pretty decent grappler. I would say he's maybe the better grappler of the 2. He's long, lanky, pretty good guillotines. His takedown defense is not the best. In the clinch, he's pretty good at using his height, though, and controlling fighters. He's hit some body locks on some low-level guys, but I've seen him pull guard, and he's just too comfortable off of his back. Once Rowe is on the mat, he prefers to play jiu-jitsu and not really get back up to his feet, which can lead to him getting grinded out, losing rounds. But he has good guard retention. I wouldn't say he's a huge submission threat, but he will throw up submissions, keep you honest. He did pull guard, like I said, against a guy named Matt McKeon, and lost the first round because of that in the fight before the Contender Series, which showed poor fight IQ. But he was able to sweep Leon Shabazian and land some really vicious ground and pound. He is aggressive with his ground and pound, and his submission offense from top is pretty good. He likes to work guys over until he could take the back, hit rear naked chokes. He has good guillotines, like I said. So, he's finished all 7 of his wins. His cardio looked pretty good against Shabazian, but it really hasn't gotten tested at a high level. Rowe does have a great frame. He's a strong athlete, and if he can keep rounding on his game, he could become very dangerous. This is a closely lined fight because Gabriel does have the style to beat Phil Rowe. He's a pressure fighter. He's rugged. He's physical. He throws a lot of volume, but he normally isn't an offensive grappler. In this fight, I think he needs to try to use his strikes to press Rowe against the cage, try to get him down, try to negate fighting at range. Green doesn't have knockout power, and I think once Rowe gets his timing and his speed and his reach advantage will just tell the tale of the fight to me. I think that Rowe could really hurt Green, maybe even finish him. We've seen Green struggle with these taller strikers like Jalen Turner. If Rowe could start going forwards, he will start to piece up Green. Green may have the better cardio. The jiu-jitsu and wrestling, I think, are pretty similar. Due to that, I'm going to have to just go with the athleticism advantage, the physical attributes like the reach is the tiebreaker, and I'm going to go with Phil Rowe to get this victory and get it done here. And up next we have a really fun fight on paper with Ricky Simón and Brian Kelleher. Ricky Simón and Brian Kelleher, they've been circling each other for a while now. Hopefully they finally get to throw down. This is going to be the 3rd time that this fight's been scheduled within a few months. And the first time Simón was forced to pull out, Kelleher went in there, choked out Ray Rodriguez, got paid. Same thing happened 3 weeks back where they were scheduled to fight again. This time it was Brian Kelleher who withdrew, and Ricky Simón went in there, fought Gaetano Perello, got the submission of his own. So hopefully they can finally square off against each other, prove who's better. Ricky Simón is a favorite. He's going to be the better athlete. He's faster. He's a 6-inch reach advantage. As far as striking goes, Ricky Simón gets a lot of slack for his striking, but I don't think it's necessarily as bad as people say. He is a hittable guy, but in this fight, he is going to have the speed and volume advantage. He uses his grappling and wrestling pretty good to set up his strikes in terms of faking level changes. He'll come over the top, come up with uppercuts. He has a decent jab. He can pocket fight, but against Kelleher, he's going to have to kind of try to stick and move a little bit, land some shots. I don't really necessarily think he wants to really wrestle too heavy with Kelleher because everyone knows Kelleher has that big threat with the guillotine, which really negates a lot of guys grappling. So I think Ricky is going to want to probably try to use his superior speed and volume, strike, land the higher numbers on the feet, and then just try to maybe get late round takedowns to steal the rounds. But he has to kind of not fight like he usually does. He can't dig in, man, and start throwing these big shots, being crazy, because if he starts to do that, it could go, real south for him, because we've seen him clipped and hurt, and Brian Kelleher is a guy that does have pop in his hands. He has power in his punches, and if he can drop you, grab that neck, then you're going to be in some big trouble. So Kelleher, he's going to have to do what he does. He's going to have to make the fight ugly, pressure, try to get in Ricky's face, hurt him with a big shot, and take him out. I don't see him winning the fight on the scorecards, really. I feel like Ricky is just the faster guy. He's going to be able to land more strikes on the feet, and I think he's going to be able to hit takedowns at the end of rounds if he needs to make it a statement round. And for Kelleher, I definitely think he needs to get a finish to win the fight. I think that it's a close fight. Maybe the line is a little bit disrespectful to Kelleher, but I am going to side on the direction of Ricky Simón. I just feel like he's going to be able to implement his game plan better. I think he's the younger, better athlete, and he has the reach advantage. He's going to be able to probably pot shot a little bit and pull Kelleher and maybe even into some takedowns, things like that. So I'm going to go with Ricky Simón in this one, but this is a fight I would stay away from. Up next here we got Andre Ewell taking on Chris Gutierrez, and unfortunate circumstances did pull Andre Ewell from his fight at UFC 258, but thankfully, I had his fight last week, but thankfully for him, he's gotten to get on UFC 258 here a week later. He's getting a totally different matchup here. He's supposed to fight Cody Stamann, who is more of a short, compact wrestle boxer. Now he's fighting a power kicking striker in Chris Gutierrez, and Chris Gutierrez is a guy that has called out Andre Ewell before. Andre Ewell always kind of had that thing with Factory X ever since he won that decision over Jonathan Martinez, that a lot of people thought that Martinez deserved. They've been wanting to get one back on him here, but this is an intriguing fight because it's like a boxer versus a kicker. And in terms of the grappling, I don't really necessarily think we're going to see either of these guys shoot takedowns, which has been the kryptonite for these guys. So these are two guys that like to strike, that are going to get to strike in this fight. We're going to see who's the better striker. And like I said, it's going to be a clash of styles too. With Ewell, he's going to have a huge reach advantage. He's southpaw, he's slick, rangy. I think he's the faster, quicker guy. So he's going to try to be on the outside, touch with that jab, with his 1-2. His left cross, obviously, is probably his best punch that he has in his arsenal. And he's getting better at, throwing some kicks out there. He's attacking the body much better these days. He's really getting good at that. And for Chris Gutierrez, he's going to have to try to... he's orthodox, but I know that he switches stances, so I would advise him to fight southpaw in this fight. Try to attack the legs, attack the body of Andre Ewell, because we've seen Ewell struggle with kicking defense against southpaws when he fought Marlon Vera, when he fought Jonathan Martinez. They were able to, touch up his leg, really beat up his lead leg, touch him with these front kicks to the body, slow down the pace for Ewell, get him tired, and then kind of beat him up. And that's the game plan that Chris Gutierrez has to go with, because Chris Gutierrez is a guy that's known to be a super powerful kicker, one of the best kickers in the division. And he's not as high volume as Andre Ewell, though. He fights a kind of a slow pace. He likes to pot shot and move. Ewell, I think he's going to be pressuring more, trying to cut the cage off and throw more volume. That's what he needs to do. He can't stay on the outside and get kicked, but I do think that Chris Gutierrez, unless he fights southpaw, that's going to help Ewell avoid those calf kicks, and it's going to help him avoid those liver kicks as well, which is going to be a big thing because Gutierrez is at a big reach disadvantage with the hands, and I think he's at a speed disadvantage. So in terms of this fight, I just lean more on the side of Andre Ewell for a few reasons. He did have a full camp for Cody Stamann he was preparing for, so he's the guy that's coming in here sharp. He has been training, whereas Chris Gutierrez is jumping in on about a week's notice. Ewell has a big reach advantage. I think he has the speed advantage, and I think he's the better grappler as well. So I think that maybe, it's probably not going to happen, but if Ewell feels like he's losing the striking, maybe he could try to change it up a little bit. I think that, his grappling has improved a lot. You have to give him some credit for that. He was able to take the back of Erwin Rivera, do some good things in the scrambles there, and he has a pretty good front choke. So I'm going to go with Andre Ewell in this one. I think that he's just going to be the guy that throws more volume. If Chris Gutierrez starts to, hurt him with the kicks, I think he's going to start to come forward more, attack the body, come to the head, and just make it more of a dogfight and win that. I think Ewell maybe is the little bit tougher guy, so that's why I'm going to go with Andre Ewell to win this fight. Up next here we got Polyana Viana taking on Mallory Martin. And this is, a fight that I'm not super intrigued with, but it's an interesting fight. It's kind of it has a similar, spice to it that the main event does. No, I just threw my mouth a little bit saying that, but no, it does. I mean, with the girl Polyana Viana, she's probably the better striker. She's definitely the better jiu-jitsu girl. And then you have Mallory Martin, who's the better wrestler, grappler. So, in terms of the striking for Mallory Martin, I feel like her striking is really bad, really rudimentary. She stands very tall. She's stiff. She's a plotter. She has bad defense, but she just uses her hooks, body, head, and her forward pressure, and just her just toughness and grittiness to come forward and look to use her striking a little bit to distract, to get in on the legs. And when she does that, she's able to hit some pretty good double legs. She has good body lock takedowns, and when she gets on top, she's pretty good at controlling position. She has good ground and pound. She's been able to submit some lower level girls. I don't necessarily think she's going to be able to finish a girl like Polyana Viana on the ground, but we've seen Polyana Viana controlled on the mat by fighters like Hannah Cyphers, fighters like JJ Aldridge, and I definitely feel like Mallory Martin, she has to mind her P's and Q's if she takes Polyana Viana down, but she should be able to take her down, stay safe, and control her if she has a good game plan, hold her against the cage, zap on her. And Mallory Martin definitely is the girl that I believe has the better gas tank, because if you look at Polyana Viana, she has all 11 wins via finish. 10 of her 11 wins have been finished in the first round. She hasn't won a fight that's went past the first round since 2014. So Polyana Viana, she's a girl that likes to go in there, hit the submission, and she has a couple of knockouts, but that's not really her thing. In this fight, she's going to be the way better striker, though. She's longer. She has much better movement. She actually has a really nice body kick. She throws some decent straight punches. She throws a lot better combination. She's more fluid than Mallory. And in terms of just pure jiu-jitsu, I would say she's ahead of Mallory as well. She probably, has better, faster hips on the ground. She has, I don't know if she's a black belt, but I know Mallory Martin is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So Mallory Martin has some jiu-jitsu herself, but we did see Polyana Viana hit that armbar off her back in her last fight. She gets on top. She has, pretty good submission game there. But I'm actually going to go with the wrestler, man. I feel like Mallory Martin, she's going to be able to control where the fight takes place. She's going to be the tougher girl in there. And if she can survive that first round, and if she can just figure out how to close the distance without just getting pieced up on the outside, she should be able to control, win the fight. Polyana Viana, I don't necessarily see her coming in with the game plan to strike from the outside and win on points. That's not necessarily her game. I don't think she has the power to knock out a girl like Mallory Martin or hurt her very bad like Hannah Cyphers did. So I just feel like Mallory Martin is going to be able to hold her against the cage, hit a couple of takedowns, control on top, avoid the submission, and run away with the decision here. So I'm going to go with Mallory Martin to win this fight in kind of a boring affair. In this next fight, we got Belal Muhammad making his return. He's going to be taking on Dhiego Lima. And in my opinion, I feel like Belal deserves a little bit of a higher ranked opponent here. I think this is kind of overall a pretty easy fight for Belal Muhammad. We have Dhiego Lima coming in here, who is going to be the bigger guy. He's going to have the reach advantage. Maybe be the technically better striker. He throws, really nice combinations. He actually has good power in his hands. He has big power in his hooks for sure. He throws like a really nice left hook, right uppercut combination. Really nasty check left hook counter. His left hook straight right hand is really powerful. And he will attack the body. He has some decent kicks. His chin is questionable though, Lima's. He's been finished 4 times by strikes. And his wrestling, it's starting to look a little bit better. We saw him defend a lot of the takedowns against a guy that's a grinder in Court McGee and things like that. But time and time again, we've seen him get taken down, dominated, controlled on the mat. And with Belal Muhammad, he's not a guy that's as technically sound on the feet as Dhiego Lima, but he comes forward, he throws a lot of volume, he stays in your face. And I think that, his switch dancing style, his ability to, throw from a lot of weird angles, just keep the pressure on Dhiego Lima is going to give him the advantage on the feet. And even if Lima is starting to have success touching up Belal Muhammad, I think Belal Muhammad can level change, get in the clinch against the cage, get takedowns, grind out Dhiego Lima that way. So I just feel like Belal Muhammad is the better fighter all across the board. He's tough. He has great cardio, so you don't have to worry about those type of things with Belal Muhammad. He's won, I believe, like 6 out of his last 7 or 7 of his last 8 fights. And to me, this is a little bit of a step down in competition from who he's been facing. So I got to go with Belal Muhammad in this one. I'm pretty confident he's going to get the job done. I just think that out of the 2 guys, he's the better fighter. So Belal Muhammad is the pick for me in this one, and I think he's going to win this one pretty easily. And moving along through the card here, up next we got Rodolfo Vieira taking on Anthony Hernandez. It's going to be the 3rd fight Rodolfo Vieira has had in the UFC, and it's going to be the 3rd time that he's entrenched as a huge favorite. So Rodolfo Vieira, he had a historical jiu-jitsu career. He's undefeated in MMA. He's looking to, continue his, move towards contention as he fights Anthony Hernandez here. And Anthony Hernandez, he has his back against the wall. He needs to avoid dropping back-to-back fights in 3 out of his first 4 fights in the UFC. He's been finished in both of his losses. His last time out, he couldn't even last 1 minute against Kevin Holland. So he needs to go out there Saturday and prove his worth. He is going to be the better technical striker. He's aggressive. He has some power in his hands. He'll close distance with some combinations, but really isn't the greatest striker. And to me, that's why this is a rough matchup for Fluffy. To me, he does have a KO in his Dana White Tender Series fight over Jordan Wright, but isn't an elite striker. A lot of his fights end up being grappling matches. You've seen that he kind of is a little bit sloppy. He's hittable to the body. He can get hurt from there. And he just tries to, engage in dirty brawls, a lot of grinding. He has, several guillotine victories. His win over Brandon Allen was a very grappling-heavy fight. And against a guy like Rodolfo Vieira, good luck guillotining that motherfucker. Good luck controlling him on the ground. Vieira, he doesn't really offer much on the feet, jabs, low kicks, but he has good pressure. He throws a couple to get respect. He definitely has power. He's a little bit hittable, but I'll say he has good footwork, movement. He's athletic, and he's able to close that gap and get in on the legs pretty easily. His wrestling is pretty solid, and once he gets it to the ground, I think we're going to see the levels of difference against, with these 2 guys. I think Vieira is going to be levels above him. We see Hernandez. He's kind of like a flowy grappler. He likes to put himself in bad positions and then just scramble out, create a lot of scrambles, and fight that type of scrambly fight. But Rodolfo Vieira, if you give him the back, you give him the mount, he's probably going to close the show. So to me, I got to go with Rodolfo Vieira. I'm going to go with the first round submission. But this is another fight where, if Fluffy can stuff the takedowns, it could get interesting. But I'm going with Rodolfo Vieira in this one. In this next fight, we got Julian Marquez taking on Maki Pitolo, and I think this is a really great matchup. Julian Marquez is going to be back in the cage for the first time in nearly 2.5 years, and he's gone through a lot of injuries, personal strife, and all that's behind him, so hopefully he's ready to resume his career. He's only 30 years old, so he still has a lot of good years left. He's relocated from Las Vegas to Missouri. He's training now at Glory MMA with James Krause and those guys, and that gym's been on fire lately, so it's probably a good choice to go over there. Overall, Marquez still isn't very experienced, so only 7-2, 1-1 in the UFC. He needs to, get the best looks he can and try to gain a little bit of that experience level. He has finished some good guys. He finished Darren Stewart. He followed that up with a split decision loss to Alessio Di Chirico. In this fight, he's going to be a significantly bigger fighter. He's 6'2", Pitolo's 5'10". He actually missed weight trying to get down to 185 in his last fight. And obviously Maki Pitolo is a guy that's made weight at 170 pounds. For Maki Pitolo, he's been kind of underwhelming in the UFC to say the least. He's lost 3 of his 4 fights. Has been very competitive in his losses. And his last fight with Ipa Kasangane, he at least was a little bit competitive, but he still kind of got dominated in a decision loss. He should look improved in this fight. He has relocated to Extreme Couture, trained with all the Hawaiians there. That's a much better situation than he had in Hawaii. And he's actually going to be the much more experienced fighter in this fight. He has double the amount of fights as Marquez. And I do feel like he's probably the better technical striker. He throws straighter, tighter, better combinations. Marquez is more of a wild man, come forward. But the thing about it is that the size advantage for Marquez, I think, is going to be evident when they hit each other. I think that Marquez's punches are going to be a lot more impactful. And I believe that Marquez's forward pressure is going to really tire and wear on Maki Pitolo. We're going to see him start to get slower. His combinations, his hands are going to be slower. His volume is going to dip. He's going to start to be getting hit more. And I don't think Maki is necessarily the most durable guy. He's been hurt and finished with strikes several times. He's been hurt, panic wrestled, and guillotined. And we've seen Julian Marquez struggle a little bit with the grappling. So Pitolo maybe is going to come in here with a game plan to hit takedowns. But even if he does, I think Marquez is one of these guys that's very scrappy. He's not going to be content with just being on the ground and not trying to get back up to his feet. So I think he's going to be working back up to his feet, making Maki work, getting in that gas tank, and it's going to be hard as the fight goes on to continue to take down the bigger, stronger man. And I think that eventually just that pressure is going to, break the pipes of Maki Pitolo, and he's either going to get it front choked, guillotined by Julian Marquez or finished by strikes by Marquez. Marquez is a guy that I think is the more durable guy, and I think they're just going to make this a war. I don't think that Maki has the fight IQ to fight smart for 3 rounds against Marquez, stick and move and look for takedowns. So I think it's going to get chaotic at some points, and I think that Marquez is going to be the bigger, more durable guy that's tougher. So I'm going to go with Marquez here. I think he's probably going to be able to get the finish. He's finished all of his victories. He's never been finished in his career, so he's very tough. And I got to go with Julian Marquez here. Man, up next here, this is a badass fight we got right here. We got Jim Miller. He's going to be taking on Bobby Green. And 2 veterans they're throwing down, man. These are 2 of the guys that are legends of the sport. I mean, if you look at Jim Miller, he's set for his 37th fight inside the UFC. He's won 21 times. He's the 3rd most wins of all time in UFC history. He's the most wins in lightweight history at 19. The most finishes in lightweight history. He's seen it all, man. He's cemented himself as one of the best lightweights in the history of MMA. And he comes out very hot lately. His last 4 wins all came in the first round. All but two of his UFC finishes in his whole career have come in the first round. And the first round is just when Miller has the most zip on his punches. He has that nasty straight left hand. He has a really good low calf kicks. He feints low, comes up with big uppercuts, hooks, overhands, hard body kicks, head kicks. He's a really good brawler. His chin is super good, man. He throws really good elbows. He's only been finished by strikes twice. He took a perfectly placed Dan Hooker knee to the chin and a Donald Cerrone head kick to put down Jim Miller. So, I mean, Jim Miller definitely has power himself. He only has 4 knockouts, but he's one of these guys that hits you and then submits you. And when he gets tired, he does wane a lot. He allows himself to be out volume, walk down, and that's what he needs to avoid here in this fight. Obviously, everyone knows about Jim Miller's submission specialty. He's an elite level black belt. He's aggressive with the submission game. He's known for jumping on that guillotine, finishing it by pulling guard. His wrestling to me isn't as good as it used to be. He's not really as good offensively or defensively, but he still has good level changes. He looks to catch kicks. He throws hard sweeping leg kicks. And he has that nasty straight left hand he'll use to set up his double leg. And he's always good at capitalizing on moments, man. If you slip or he sees a scramble, he's going to jump on your back, finish the fight. If he could take you down early in a fight, you're in big trouble. I mean, like I said, 9 of his 10 submissions have happened in the first round. But his defensive wrestling can't fail him, especially later in fights. His cardio goes bad. People can start to take him down, grind him out, and he has no urgency to stand back up to his feet. He just has not shown the ability to fight late in recent fights. He's 0-5 in his last 5 decisions, but he's still extremely tough. He's durable. He's seen it all. He's only lost to guys that are the best of the best. I mean, he has 18 submission wins. He's only been submitted by Charles Oliveira, Chiesa, and Nate Diaz. All 3 of those guys are known as elite level submission guys in the UFC. So for Bobby Green to go in here and finish a guy like Jim Miller, I think that's super, 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 super unlikely. So if you like Bobby Green, I mean, you might as well just bet him by decision. I don't see him winning any other way. Bobby Green, I mean, he's a guy that switches stances, obviously, has that hands low, shoulder roll style, and he throws a lot of volume. He throws a lot more volume than Jim Miller. He's going to have a big speed advantage on Jim Miller, and he just needs to be very careful in that first round. He has to put pressure on him, but stay safe. Try to avoid grappling exchanges. Don't get cocky, because sometimes Bobby likes to, go into the eye of the storm early on, and I think later on, as Green starts to get tired, it will be smart for him to start to grapple, but early in the fight, you should just try to keep it on the feet, stick and move, use his speed advantage, and just get all the dangerousness from Jim Miller away. Because early in the first round, I think Miller's going to be the better striker and the better grappler. Because Miller's a beast, man. He's really underrated with his skill set. But once he starts to get tired, that's when Bobby Green can start to put it on him, go forward. Like I said, I mean, Jim Miller's a guy that's 0-5 in his last 5 decisions. Hasn't won a third round in years. And I just feel like he can't keep the pace with a guy like Bobby Green. And Bobby can get out of the first round. So it's usually tough to pick a guy like Bobby Green by decision, but I think that's what's going to happen this time. I think that Jim Miller, he's going to go out there, he's going to look hard for that finish in the first round. When it doesn't come, I think Bobby Green's going to start to take over the last 2, get the decision win. So I'm going to go with Bobby Green in this one. In this next fight, we got Kelvin Gastelum. He's going to be looking to get back on the right track as he gets a step down in competition against Ian Heinisch. And interesting clash of styles here. We got Kelvin, who obviously has seen it all. He's fought the better guys. He's fought for the UFC title. But he's lost 3 fights in a row. And his last fight, he got heel hooked by Jack Hermanson. It seems like he's one of these guys that you want to see him at 170 pounds, but just never wants to go there. There's dedication issues. There's a lot of things that, Ian Heinisch could take advantage of potentially. But Ian Heinisch, to me, is one of these guys that's really not that good technically. He gets by on his God-given abilities and gifts. He's very fast twitch. He's strong. He's athletic. He's fast. He's quick. He has a never-say-die attitude, real good cardio, toughness, durability. So in that sense, he's a very good fighter. He's a guy that can take you down, that can hold you down, that can strike with you if you're not a great striker. But he's not really that good at anything. I mean, I feel like on the feet, he's not very technical. He throws some wild high kicks out there that are dangerous. He'll level change, come up into some big uppercuts, some big hooks. He definitely has power in his hands. If he can catch you early in a fight, he can knock you out, but he's not even close to the striker that Kelvin Gastelum is. I mean, Kelvin should be able to piece him up with the boxing. He's seen way higher level strikers. I think Kelvin is just a level above on the feet. And in terms of the wrestling, I mean, Ian Heinisch is a pretty decent wrestler. I wouldn't say he's a great or good wrestler. He only, I think, completes 18% of his takedowns in the UFC. He's more of a guy that he is good at anti-grappling, scrambling, denying takedowns, winning scrambles, ending up on top, shooting submissions up from bottom, and things like that. And he can tire guys out, whereas Kelvin Gastelum, he needs to come in here with good cardio at least, because I do think Ian's going to try to push the pace, but I don't think Ian's going to be able to go in there and outstrike Kelvin. I don't think Ian's going to be able to go out there and out-wrestle Kelvin, so I just don't see a lot of path to victory for Ian Heinisch. I think Kelvin is the superior wrestler, the superior striker, so if Ian tries to wrestle, I think Kelvin could be the guy that actually ends up on top. I also think Kelvin's going to be levels above on the feet as well. Heinisch, I mean, he's going to have to either clip Kelvin real early or, hit a leg lock off his back like Jack Hermanson, or just really upped his game a lot, in my opinion. I mean, I feel like the line is a little off because Ian is a very durable guy. He's probably going to throw more, if not the same amount of volume out there. So if he's going forward, throwing strikes, and Kelvin's landing the harder shots, but it's close in the numbers, the fight could be kind of close. But I got to side with Kelvin Gastelum. I'm not going to get off the train in favor of Ian Heinisch yet. I don't think that Kelvin is that gone. I think that he can go in there and get this victory. He's only 29 years old, man, so he has to have a lot of motivation. He doesn't want to lose 4 fights in a row. He doesn't want to lose to a guy that's outside of the top 10. So I'm going to go with Ian Heinisch to take the loss here. Kelvin Gastelum to get the win and to get back on track. So I'm going to go with Kelvin Gastelum here. And we got the co-main event here with Maycee Barber taking on Alexa Grasso. Alexa Grasso, she had a successful transition in the flyweight division in her debut. She was able to go in there and get the decision win over Ji-Yeon Kim. She looked pretty good doing it. She seemed confident, strong. Hopefully she can, start to bring consistency into her UFC career, because she's yet to have a win streak in the UFC. She's a win one, lose one type of girl. She's 0-1 versus Southpaws, but to be fair, the Southpaw she fought was Tatiana Suarez, so hard to really say that she has an issue against Southpaws. But she's fairly fast. She's a good striker. She likes to go forward. She walks opponents down. She throws a good inside-outside low kick. She has a pretty good jab, good right hand, and she has a real power 1-2. Nice straight left hand lead, and she throws a lot of straight left overhand right combinations. She's at her best when she can back punch to the cage. She'll throw big, long combos there. Good hand speed. She'll throw left, right straights, mix in hooks, body shots, uppercuts. And she'll throw in some nice front kicks, round kicks. She has good hand speed. But fighters like Felice Harrigan, Miranda Marcos were able to counter her single shot combinations and make her pay by fighting moving backwards. When she gets pushed back, her volume becomes low. And her last fight was probably her best striking performance. She was pretty dominant, but she got hit with a lot of shots. And Ji-Yeon Kim was competitive. Grasso doesn't really pack huge power either. So, I mean, none of these girls do, but Barber actually is one of the rarities. So, I feel like she's definitely at a power disadvantage in this fight. She's obviously used to fight at 115. And Alexa Grasso, she's had a lot of difficulties with grapplers. She tends to get taken down in a lot of these fights when she's facing, more physical girls. And she will attack off of her back with submissions, and she likes to try to hit belly down arm bars, things like that. But she has no submissions in her career. She is good at scrambling. She has good cardio. She usually wins the third round. But for Maycee Barber, I mean, she's making a return after the first loss of her career. I'm sure she's itching to get back in there. She's finished 7 of her 8 wins, her last 5 wins in a row. Her striking is still kind of developing. I mean, she's shifty. She's looking for that left cross. She's southpaw. She likes to throw the lead right hook. She throws some really nice front kicks, lead lid, side kicks. She's a finisher. Then when she hurts you, she will go for the kill. She throws a lot of nice elbows, long combinations against the cage. She's dangerous in the clinch, though. She has really nice elbows, knees. She drains girls with body shots in the clinch, and she's good at using pressure to draw out bad takedowns attempts and getting on top herself. Once she gets on top, she's very heavy. She has good ground and pound. She was kind of dominated in the grappling against Roxanne Modafferi, but against a girl like Alexa Grasso, that really doesn't matter. I mean, Modafferi's a power, top-heavy grappler, whereas Grasso's a striker. To me, this fight is ultimately going to come down to the size and physicality. Alexa Grasso, to me, does have this superior striking. She has the faster hand. She has some pop herself. She's Mexican. She's tough. She can take a shot to give a shot. She's never been finished by strikes. But I do think Barber's smart. If she uses her strikes to get in the clinch, maul Grasso, get Grasso tired, get Grasso on the back foot where she's not as good, then she's going to have success. Grasso's not a great wrestler. She's gotten taken down multiple times by almost every grappler she's fought in the UFC. If she gets taken down by Barber, Barber to me has the most impactful ground and pound out of anyone she's faced outside of Tatiana Suarez. Suarez was able to quickly take the back of Grasso, submit her. I think Barber could take down Grasso. I don't know if she's going to be able to submit her or finish her. Grasso is dangerous and pretty solid with her jiu-jitsu, like I said. She had that near armbar against Carla Esparza that a lot of people remember, but no submissions in her career. And I just feel like Maycee Barber is going to be able to use her physicality, use her strength, use her forward pressure to maul Grasso and just get the victory. So I'm going to go with Maycee Barber in this one to use her wrestling to get the win. Man, last but not least here, we got this amazing fight in the main event between Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Durinho Burns. This is for the UFC welterweight title. And Kamaru Usman is looking to defend his belt for the third time. He started his UFC career at 12-0. He hasn't even lost very many rounds. So, man, I mean, he's a very elite level guy already in UFC history, but he's getting a unique challenge in this fight as he takes on a former teammate in Gilbert Burns. That's kind of been the narrative. A lot of people have been talking about that, where they do have a lot of rounds together in the gym and things like that. Usman, he actually left the gym, went to Elevation Fight Team, so he's not at Sanford for this camp. His striking has come a long way under Henry Hoof, though. I mean, Usman has a nasty jab. I would say he's one of the best, most underrated jabs in the sport. Really nice one, too. He throws hard, stinging jabs. He's good at feinting level changes, coming up with uppercuts or hooks, and he's good at switching stances mid-combination. So he'll throw like a cross from southpaw or orthodox, switch stance and throw a lead hook with the other hand. He really brutalized the body of Colby Covington with vicious uppercuts, hooks, stabbing front kicks. He'll throw some occasional high kicks. Usman is durable, and he definitely has some raw power, but he's not as technically sound on the feet as a guy like Gilbert Burns. He's a little bit stiff in exchanges. He isn't the fastest fighter. He loads up on his shots at times. We've seen guys like Colby Covington, stun him, rock him pretty badly. We've seen guys like George Masvidal in his last fight, landed some pretty decent shots while he was standing, but Usman, man, he's one of the most dominating grapplers in MMA history. His style may be boring to some fans, but no one could say it isn't effective. He's smothering when he can get you in the clinch. I mean, his fight with Tyron Woodley is a perfect example of how to demoralize someone in the clinch. He was able to bang Woodley's body from the over-under position, really wore on him. He landed some heavy elbows, big knees. Good job landing combinations off the break, re-clinching. Usman, he was able to do the same thing to George Masvidal to a lesser extent. Didn't get nearly the same offense off, but he foot stomped his way to another victory and didn't have too much success getting takedowns or controlling Masvidal on the ground. And interestingly enough, Usman didn't take down Sergio Moraes or Damian Maia, who are both probably the highest level jiu-jitsu grapplers that he's fought. Against Burns, we're going to see if he's more willing to take it to the ground. I don't think he'll be able to hold Gilbert down regardless, but Usman has good power chain wrestling. He'll push you to the cage, wrestle from there, really good snatch single, big slams in the clinch, and he's never been taken down in the UFC. I'm sure Gilbert's going to shoot in and test him a couple of times with that takedown defense. Usman isn't a submission guy, only one in his career. His cardio is otherworldly, though. He doesn't slow down, and he's on his way to becoming one of the all-time greats. He just finds a way to win fights, so he's one of the best guys of all time in that weight class already. But he's going to be taking on a guy in Gilbert Burns who's won 6 fights in a row, who's been a force since moving to welterweight. And Dhiego, he's coming off 2 amazing wins. He knocked out Damian Maia in the first round, followed that up by absolutely dominating Tyron Woodley. And he's a beast, man. He poses a lot of issues for anyone. On the feet, Gilbert has dynamite in his hands. Probably outside of Tyron Woodley, he's the biggest puncher Usman will have faced. He's a pressure fighter. He likes to stalk fighters, make the cage small, force exchanges. He kicks really well. He has really nice calf kicks, really nice round kicks to the body, head kicks. He'll throw kicks with both legs. He likes to throw kicks and sometimes 1-2s to draw out punches from his opponents. And from there, he's an elite counter striker. He's one of the best left hooks in the game. Countless times Burns has clipped and dropped fires with that shot. He landed a nasty right hook that dropped Tyron Woodley in the first round of their fight. He has a powerful right hook, overhand right. His striking is hard to deal with, man, because he has the takedown threat, great forward pressure, power. He's super sharp. He's a counter puncher. If you make a mistake, Dhiego will make you pay and close the show with one punch. He still does load up on his shots a little bit. Fighters who can land straight shots or get inside of Gilbert's wide punches can have success, can touch him up a little bit. He is durable, but we did see him get put away by a guy like Dan Hooker. Gilbert Burns, he is one of the best grapplers in the sport. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt world champion. He's rounded out his wrestling game as well. He's a great athlete, very strong, fast twitch, really good double leg. When he can back fighters to the cage, he'll shoot in, hit the takedowns more often than not. Very good reactive double legs in space. I've seen him hit some clinch throws, takedowns from there as well. Once he gets on top, he's super heavy. He's a great passer. He likes to get into the mount, take the back, close the show. Really good arm bars from the back mount, from the full mount as well. Very good at finding the angle. He'll go belly down. He'll attack rear naked chokes. And Gilbert Burns, he's only been taken down by Damian Maia in his welterweight run. I haven't seen very many fighters willing to even go down into Burns' guard when they take him down. If you watch his fight with Michel Prazeres was able to hit 5 takedowns, but never followed Burns to the ground, not one time. Damian Maia was able to take down Burns a couple times, but Burns showed it's going to be hard for anyone to hold him down. He immediately attacked the legs of Damian Maia when he was taken down, used the leg entanglement to get back up to his feet. When he was taken down again, he was in some danger of getting his back taken, but he was able to scramble out of there and showed elite BJJ, because a lot of fighters would have been armbarred or triangle trying to do what Burns did there. Burns has never been submitted in MMA. He's never been controlled on the mat. He has 8 submission wins himself. He's improved his cardio, but I still don't think he's at the level of a Kamaru Usman cardio-wise. He's going to have to slow the pace of the fight with his counter-punching ability. Burns is 5-2 in decisions. He's super hungry. He has a great chance to take the belt, man. I mean, to me, this is a super close fight, and having a lot of trouble picking the fight. So when I think about that and I look at the line, I mean, I think there's a ton of value on Gilbert Burns just because, man, I mean, this is a guy that he's better striker. He's better on the ground. Usman isn't going to be able to hold him down, man. He's going to use the leg entanglements to get back up to his feet. He's going to be able to even potentially hit sweeps. On the feet at range, I mean, he has the way better technical striking. He's faster. He has that one-punch knockout power that's going to be a big issue for Usman, because we've seen him get clipped up by guys like Colby Covington, like George Masvidal, even a little bit by a guy like RDA. But those guys don't necessarily have that one-shot power like a guy like Gilbert Burns. So Burns lands that left hook on the button, that right hook, the overhand right. Could be lights out for a guy like Kamaru Usman. And when you look at Gilbert Burns' just his size, I think he's a bigger guy, even though he fought at 55s, than Colby Covington, than RDA, than George Masvidal. So he's going to be harder to control in the clinch, and that's what's going to come down to. I mean, how good is the clinch game of Gilbert Burns? Is he going to be able to dig underhooks and get his back off the cage? Is he going to be able to get out of that over-under position that Kamaru Usman loves to have? And, he's going to be at a size disadvantage, which is going to help the champ a lot in those areas. And that's just Kamaru's game. He's really good at that. And I do think Usman could strike with Gilbert Burns to an extent. He could use the jab, and grab type of game plan. Front kicks up the middle, try to attack the body of Gilbert like he does these other guys, slow him down. But early on, I think Gilbert's going to be a motherfucker, man. I think he's going to be hard to control. He's going to be super dangerous at range. Usman's going to respect his power, respect his counters. They've sparred a lot. Usman knows what it is with his super sharpness. So I think he's going to be, kind of weary of that. But I do think that Usman is going to be able to get off himself on the feet a little bit, land some land some in some exchanges. I think he's super durable, so I think he'll probably be able to eat some big shots from Gilbert Burns. And I think ultimately he's going to start to use his forward pressure, the body attack, and his size to wear on Gilbert in the clinch like he usually does, and probably win a decision down the stretch. But I think this is going to be one of the toughest fights of Usman's career. I think it's going to be closer to the Colby fight than these fights that he's been dominating. I think Burns is going to go in there and give him a real challenge. I think Burns could win by knockout in the early rounds. I think he could win by decision. I really think Burns is a live underdog in this fight. I think he has a lot of paths to victory, and I think he's a super dangerous guy. But I'm going to go with Kamaru Usman to retain his belt, 48-47. So there you have it, guys. That's the breakdown for UFC 258. Really appreciate everyone watching. Like I said, I want to have a goal this week, 250 likes. So let's really try to get to that. Let's try to get the likes up on this one. And put a comment down below. I mean, what do you think? Do you agree with me? You think the main event, you think that Gilbert Burns is a live underdog, or you think Usman's just going to run through him and, move that win streak to 17? But as far as the most confident pick of the week goes, it's going to be Belal Muhammad. For my parlay of the week, it's going to be Belal Muhammad and Ricky Simone. For the underdog of the week, it's going to be Maycee Barber. So thanks for watching, guys, once again, and I'll talk to you guys later.